Okay, so 8 days ago, I have diabetes. She's showing us a blood sugar reading of 316 milligrams per deciliter, clearly in the red. I am charting this, by the way. The next video uploaded is an honest full day of eating. You know, plenty of sugar and all kinds of crap. The next day, day one of trying to reverse type 2 diabetes. Well, it's too late for that, Chantal. Then walking is hard. Out of an 11-minute video, we had exactly 4 minutes and a few extra seconds of actual walking. Then we had a 4-course keto low-carb meal. Clearly has not consulted with a physician or nutritionist. That's very clear to anyone who knows anything about the condition, or even if you're just learning. The next day after that, she's going to fast again. Okay, sounds good. Well, she fasted for a few hours, and then she decided to have some mashed potatoes, but not after breaking her fast with an orange, some ramen noodles, and a piece of cheese. Okay. She did a diabetic grocery haul. Her thumbnail she used was the so-called food for Salah. And then she says, a day later, I'm going to the doctor. Great. Diabetic recovery meal with a bunless burger, sweet potato and coleslaw. Whatever. Okay. Then it's... I have some important things to say, which was basically that her cat is dead to her, dead and buried, and you might have liked her before, but people change, and she basically doesn't like that people no longer like to watch her. I wouldn't say that people no longer like her, because a lot of her watchers probably really didn't like her very much, but she's upset that no one's watching her. And she's mad at that. She thinks you still should be. And then today, 4 hours ago, she's been to the doctor, supposedly, right? And she's eating 2 6-inch long subs, you know, of course, with bread, 2 different types, by the way. One of them has like a sweet onion dressing and teriyaki, sugar, 2 bags of potato chips, and a tall glass of juice. I think what she's doing is she's actively engaging in her addiction, and she's not going to give it up. She will not give it up. And I'm seeing in the comments people are becoming more and more frustrated with her, just as they would with someone that they care about who is addicted to something and won't give it up, even though their life is clearly flashing before their eyes. I'm setting a boundary with Chantal because I know what I'm watching here. And some people in her comments also know. Someone actually mentioned that she is engaging in addict behavior, including romanticizing her addiction. So telling these stories about grandma and how many puddings she would give her and all of this is romanticizing her addiction. And I thought that was very insightful for someone to point out. Here it is, C. Bacon. Okay, C. Bacon, thank you for leaving this comment for Chantal. I don't mean this in a bad way, but you need intensive inpatient therapy for your food addiction. I've been to rehab for an alcohol addiction. I hear you doing what they call romanticizing in this video, and it makes me sad. Now, if you're not familiar with this type of terminology, basically someone who's looking back on their using of any substance that they were addicted to, drugs, alcohol, food, sex addiction, anything that anything that they were addicted to, and recalling fond memories, like she's talking about her grandmother in this video and the foods that she would give her, and how it basically, from the age of 8 years old, she was exhibiting issues with food. And this person is absolutely right. You can't do this on your own. You need professional treatment in a team, in a controlled environment. And there's 21 likes on this. Some people are just, telling her straight up, like, look, you're going to lose a limb, your eyesight, or you're going to be on dialysis soon. If likes are more important than your health, then RIP. Someone said, you understand there's no way you can claim healed, happy, and healthy like you did and sit back down to kill yourself one bite at a time. hypertension, diabetes, extreme super fatty liver disease, history of blood clots and lungs. You are your body. That head is attached and you are stuffing it, not out of complete and utter mature contentment. You can't say, I'm addicted, and that's a reason. It's only a reason to find help for being addicted. There are many food addicts, alcoholics, and drug addicts who decide to change their life every day. If you choose to eat, you are choosing addiction, the crutch, the vice, the false comfort, and contentment. How do you know you are so much more happy in Kuwait? You are always drugged up on your drug of choice. You don't even know what true happiness is. Excellent. Excellent. And this person is pretty much, I'm following what they're saying. I agree with this. We need to stop engaging in watching. She loves the shock value and attention. When there's no more views and no more comments, she just might seek help. She won't stop until she loses a leg. This is the same type of triggering as Eugenia Cooney. I am diabetic myself and have been for over 20 years. I posted things that were trying to help you, but it doesn't look like you want help. You just want to keep doing what you're doing, and that's fine and dandy. It's your health. But I give up, and everyone else should too. All advice is falling on deaf ears. She's absolutely right. This is just going to be an exercise in futility and frustration for anyone who actually cares. Either about her, about people in general who have diabetes. You know, watching someone deliberately destroy themselves because they don't want to give up control of an addiction is disturbing to watch. And it's not her being real with us. It's not her showing, you know, as she says, I'm not just going to show you the good things. When has she shown us a good thing? We haven't seen any good things. We haven't seen a meal that everyone was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. All right. We haven't seen any of that. The day after she said she was diabetic, she was eating a huge plate of mashed potatoes. So here's a nurse. You're not starving, and it doesn't matter if you're quote unquote satisfied when your body continues to grow and your health majorly declines. I am an RN, and I can tell you you're playing with your life. And on top of it, why not try to eat normal portions? You don't need 2 sandwiches and 2 bags of chips. You need to mature and learn how to deal with being uncomfortable. Very frustrating. Chantal, do you and Salah have a plan for emergencies that you could face? You will need to hire private care because he isn't a trained healthcare professional. And of course, we have Charles Reed, the ultimate enabler, and neither are you, he says. Great. Are you secretly waiting for a medical emergency to happen? It appears that way, doesn't it? A wonderful musician at my church was found dead from diabetic coma in his home recently. He was your age. He also failed to control his diet and blood sugar. He paid with his life. Please get help. Your emotional intelligence is that of a toddler. Yeah, it is. And we have Charles Reed. As long as you have life, you cannot be defeated. Okay, Charles. Okay. What is life that great when you're blind? When you're having your feet amputated? Is that a good life? Is that being undefeated? And then he says, I love having lunch with you. It feels like eating out with a close friend. I never want this to end. Well, Charles Reed, it is going to end sooner than you would like. You need to stop enabling her if you actually care about her. So, enough of that. This is going to be for Chantal. I don't normally speak directly to her because I know it falls on deaf ears. You know, she's clearly not interested and she just feels she's being judged and hated on. But I have a message for her because I'm setting a boundary with Chantal. I'm setting a boundary with her right now. You need to stop trauma dumping. On your entire audience. This is why people are frustrated and done with you, Chantal. Trauma dumping happens when someone shares a story of trauma without considering its impact or to control another person. Most often, trauma dumping doesn't leave room for the listener to opt out of the conversation. Sure, we could stop the video. Sure, we could click on to something else. Most people are just watching a train wreck and want to see how it ends. While trauma dumping can bring a sense of relief or gratification to you, those on the receiving end, your audience, may feel drained, down, frustrated, angry, and taken advantage of. On the other hand, oversharing could be a trauma response or a sign that you are ready for or need support. You telling your story about how you were as a child with food and your grandmother with food and what she fed you. I am not a clinician. I am not a psychologist, and I'm not a therapist. Most of your audience also are not. I'm not here for that. I'm not qualified for that. You dumped out where it all started, where my addiction started. You need to tell that to a qualified healthcare practitioner, not your chat. It's very manipulative. And I love that that person said that you're romanticizing your addiction. Speaking fondly of how your addiction developed. This is all mental. It's all mental. Let me be clear that trauma dumping is not the same as educating others, raising awareness, seeking support from a loved one, or sharing a space of intimacy and vulnerability. You would do that one-on-one, or if you were educating others, you're really not qualified to educate your audience on anything healthcare related. Nothing health related. Don't even try. Now, there is a difference between trauma dumping versus venting. If you're venting, it's going to be a one-time, you had a bad day and you just have to get it off your chest, and then you let it go. It's off your chest, you let it go. Trauma dumping intends to involve the same stories. And Chantal, I've heard you repeat yourself over and over and over in your cycle. I've heard that many, many times. Venting, the purpose is to just blow off steam, get it off your chest so you can move on. But someone who's trauma dumping is looking to get sympathy or preferential treatment from the listener. Like, feel bad for me. You shouldn't be so harsh on me because look how much I've suffered. Now, Chantal, you can listen to this part if you'd like. This is more for your viewers. Be on the lookout for signs of trauma dumping because this can have a very negative impact on your mental health being the recipient of it. Here are some signs. Someone that's sharing the same story repeatedly, talking about over and over and over their health issues, what false promises they're making to themselves and possibly you, that they're going to turn it around over and over and over. A pattern. Constantly interjecting mentions of past trauma into casual conversations. She has nothing to talk about. Nothing. She talks about some kid in her elementary school, a job that she had when she was 16 years old. She really doesn't have much to say. But she will sneak in elements of feel bad for me because I went through whatever. Here's another sign. If the trauma dumper doesn't know much about the people that they share their story with, is this a reciprocal relationship where you can also share your trauma with Chantal? If you've tried to in the comments, go back and look and see if it's still there. If you feel that the trauma dumper is intentionally choosing people who may feel more obligated to listen to them, her viewers, her beezers. Her beezers may feel obligated. Oh, we're the hug box. We're the only ones here who really support her because she has a lot of haters. You might feel more obligated to sit and listen to her, dismissing the negative impact that it could be having on your mental health. Now, Chantal could also be triggering other people who are going through or have gone through similar things. And I've seen that myself, where people who have been diagnosed with diabetes, who have suffered serious health consequences and take managing their diabetes very, very seriously, I see them getting triggered. I see people who have lost loved ones to complications from diabetes being triggered by this. Overexposure to stories like this that she constantly puts out can lead you to feel vicarious trauma through her. If you're like a Charles Reed, if you truly, really care about Foodie Beauty, if you love her, if you see her as an imperfect person, but overall a good person that you fully support, isn't this upsetting to watch? It can cause you to feel emotionally exhausted. Every time she uploads a video, you don't know what's coming next. A high blood sugar count? A plate of mashed potatoes? Going straight back into denial about her health condition? Chantel, here's some questions to ask yourself. The context of sharing it is key when you're evaluating whether or not sharing your experiences is conducive to healing and safe for everyone involved, including you. It could help to reevaluate whether the behavior is truly serving you. Sometimes it does help to speak things out loud, and once it's out there, wow, why am I doing this to myself? That could be a positive result. The first step in the process, you can ask yourself, how is my sharing this impacting others? If you care. Why am I sharing this? Is it because I have a relationship of mutual trust with my audience? Does it really go both ways? Or because it feels good to you in the moment? That's how you know you're trauma dumping. When it feels good to you. But you're left with literally hundreds of comments just expressing their frustration, concern. They're not feeling better. Have you given the other person or your audience a chance to share what they've gone through? Is it reciprocal? Have you given your audience a chance to opt out of the conversation? And you could consider this to be somewhat of a trigger warning at the start of your videos. Like, just want people to know that you may know that I am diabetic with uncontrolled diabetes. My blood sugar is seriously uncontrolled. It's extremely high consistently, and I'm not seeking healthcare for it. And I'm going to sit here and eat subs and potato chips. If you think that that's going to be triggering behavior for you to witness, please go ahead and click off the video. Give your viewers that option to opt out, to say, you know what, I'm not dealing with this today. If you don't give them that option, you're trauma dumping. Does your audience seem comfortable with the topic? And has your audience told you how they feel about the topic in the past? And I could say, yes, they have. They've expressed many times how they feel about it. Yet you continue to do the same thing over and over and over. If you decide that it's time to think more about how you share your trauma, you could consider what emotions or triggers are prompting this for you to sit down and turn your camera on, to start recording, and to dump all this out. What emotions are you feeling right before you do that? Addressing feelings like sadness, anger, or confusion could help reduce the urge to trauma dump if the trauma dumping is really just masking more unpleasant emotions. If you feel like you're getting it off your chest and you're going to feel better, well, it doesn't just go into the ether. All of that dumping out has to go someplace. It's going on to your audience. You could feel like it's the perfect opportunity to open up. Like, okay, I'm feeling like this right now. I'm going to sit down and record. But asking your audience is the best way to get on the same page. You could try something like, no pressure, but I feel like I want to share something about my experience with my health right now. It could be kind of intense for some viewers. If it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about it. Clarify boundaries, which is what I'm doing with you right now. Creating and enforcing clear boundaries is a way to learn about protecting your own emotional health, because you're exposing thousands of people to your emotional instability that can't be good for you, while at the same time respecting the boundaries of others. You need therapy. And you've said that you don't want therapy because once you start to get into it, you feel like you're going to go crazy. You're going to lose your mind. So you could lose your mind with a trained professional who won't allow you to lose it. They'll help you. They're trained medically if you're with the right person. You could hear people that are listening to all of this from you. People might say to you, you shouldn't talk about trauma with people who aren't qualified to handle it, which I agree with. And you really should see a therapist about that. And that might seem dismissive to you, but it's factual. No one here can handle what you're dumping out. No one can help you with it. And those who feel that they could possibly help you, you don't listen to them. They're lucky if their comment even stays on your page. Anything really remotely helpful, you delete because it's not what you want to hear. You're not in a space to even receive feedback. So dumping out and not allowing a space for people to respond, or not responding back, not acknowledging that you've read their response, that's automatically, it's unequal. It's not reciprocal at all. We are not, as your audience, we are not obligated to listen to your addiction, how you've stayed in denial, how it began for you, how you're suffering with it, what kinds of negative things it has created in your life. No one's obligated to listen to that. Nobody. We're not responsible for your emotions and how you feel. Only you are, Chantal. We're not responsible for your past experiences. We have nothing to do with that. And we have nothing to do with how you choose to move forward. You're not sticking it to FFG, are you serious, whatever, yabba. You're not sticking it to anybody by eating mashed potatoes. You're just making it harder on yourself, and your health is declining. The only effect that it's having is worsening your health condition, your body, your health. Whether you're here or not over the next few months literally has no effect in my life. You have parasocial relationships with a lot of different people. You don't know these people, and they don't know you. Do you really feel that when you're going into surgery to have your foot amputated, that you're going to be gleeful that you ate two subs, that you ate two sub sandwiches and 2 bags of potato chips and a large glass of juice, and filmed it and uploaded it to get an emotional response from your viewers, which you have, to get clicks and views, which you have, and to to stick it to everybody who says, please take care of yourself? Are you going to be thinking of those things and happy about it when you're being wheeled into surgery to have your foot removed? It's just food for thought. So, just a quick recap. Trauma dumping refers to persistently oversharing traumatic experiences with people who may not be ready or willing to receive the information. Trauma is a sensitive topic. While some conversations bring intimacy and healing, like this is a conversation you might have with Salah or your mother, others may breed more trauma. It's not always clear when bringing up trauma is appropriate, but increasing self-knowledge, approaching others with empathy, if you can even think about doing that, and practicing mindfulness in your communication can help to demystify it. Give your audience an option to click off. Let them know. Give them a heads up what you're going to be talking about or what you're going to be doing if you feel it might be triggering to them. And I don't mean in a sassy way, like, oh, I'm going to be eating bread, click off if you're not going to be able to handle it. That's very disrespectful to your audience. Have respect for your viewers. And give them the option. I'm going to be discussing something that may be triggering. Always give them the option to leave. If you feel that you need to talk about what has happened to you with strangers, you may be ready to actually get some help. So, Chantal, I'm not going to be sharing your sandwich, potato chip, and juice mukbang in which you discuss your childhood and how your grandmother fed you, as if it's some lovely story that's supposed to warm everyone's heart. It's just you're talking about your addiction and how it started. And watching you sit there and actively contribute to your decline in health isn't healthy for anyone to watch. It's not at all. And someone in your comments made a very good analogy. I don't think it was in this video. It may have been in another one. And you probably deleted it, but it was such a good point. They said, at this point, it feels like we're watching an alcoholic, maybe who's been in recovery or coming from an AA meeting, walk up to a bar, set up a live stream, and start drinking until they're drunk. And that's how I feel when I watch your mukbangs. You know it's bad for you. You know it's only going to worsen your problem, but you can't stay away from it. You can't stay away from it. You're addicted. And please don't go into this circular thinking of, well, everyone has to eat. How am I supposed to survive? Chantal, you could fast for the next 6 months and you'd be fine. And the fact that you feel you're at risk of starvation mentally, even though logically you know that that's not true, should be an indication to you that mentally you cannot cope with this. You are unable to cope. Your mind goes to actual survival mode. Without your addiction and feeding it, literally, you feel that you wouldn't survive. That's not a eat less bread or eat sweet potatoes instead of white potatoes. It has nothing to do with the food. It's in your mind. That's all I have, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.